So tighten it up a bit. Yeah, I know. You don't want to know, I know. He's, yeah. So Frank, it's a bit of an uneven couch here. We got the Glamour Boys over here.
Yep.
And the beauty and the brains, you call it?
Yeah. We're definitely the beauty. Right, you meant it the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm slow.
We'll get rolling here. Welcome to the Crew Live. It's great to have you along. On the couch today, we got Frank, Rich, Jordan, and I'm Jim. We're looking forward to this session because we're going to talk about some very, very dangerous topics. Sex abuse and college rape statistics are coming into play today. You might not like it, so leave now, please, and go find something to do outdoors if you can. We're going to chit-chat away here, and if you have any questions, if you have any questions or comments, just send them to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thecrewlive, or through our YouTube channel, thecrewlive.co. So cheers it up, boys. How's it going?
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Great.
Tighten it up here, Frank. I miss you. You're way over there.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Get in a little closer, bud.
Oh, I like it. Thank you. Keeps more of that.
Yeah.
We're discussing that, aren't we?
coffees I've had in a long time. Is that Colombian?
That is Colombian coffee.
Oh, this is very strong Colombian coffee. I'm enjoying it.
It surely is. So we got a live audience in the house tonight as well. Let's hear a woot woot. Woo! Live audience grows every time in intellect and spiritual growth.
I like it. We have a dog.
And we do. Bjorn will be along the way. So today, guys, let's talk about some very important things. Power punch to be in his.
And was Nicole Kidman big into Scientology at all, or not really? She just kind of let him be into it and was just kind of one. Because now she's with Keith Urban, who I went to his concert 2 nights ago.
And that was a
she there?
experience, wasn't it?
It was. It was a great song. He sings that John 3:16 song. John Cougar, John Deere, John 3:16. All you need to live your life, those three Johns right there. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But that was the only real religious experience I...
So John Cougar, John Deere, John 3:16 is the mantra to live by.
Yeah, like John Cougar was when he was young, all the tunes that John Cougar raised him up on. Right. And then John Deere, being a farmer and whatnot, living on the farm, and then John 3:16.
Yeah, the famous biblical passage. Anybody here can quote it? We're not about religion on this show, but
I could quote it still.
You could quote it?
Could too,
I could quote it still. I did my Sunday school verse memorization. Yeah. And I learned in Sunday school a very important thing was how to treat little girls and ultimately women. And we're going to talk next about some maltreatment. You remember that too?
I've learned about that too, yes.
Yeah. Well, did they teach you to
Not the maltreatment, just how to treat them.
How to treat them respectfully.
Yeah. If you're going to tell me that the church taught you how to treat women, you are probably not very good at it.
Okay.
And I don't believe that I believe you're good at it. So you need to rephrase that.
Rich caught me in a very weak segue. Because the church did not teach me how to treat women.
You taught the church.
Well, yeah, I suppose I did, Frank. So I apologize to all the millions of viewers. One of our live audience members is
as opposed to they're dead.
Their feminist shirt at us. She's taking her shirt off and she's waving it.
Now I'm distracted again. Eyes wide shut, not.
Yeah, so gents, actually, you know what? I'm going to give you something here to look at while we're chit-chatting because there's some interesting stats here. There's something there, Rich, you can share if you pull anything out of.
Oh my.
Yeah, and Jordy, here you go. Campus sexual assault. So what we want to talk about with the crew and get their opinion on it is the dire situation of campus sexual assault. You'll remember recently there was was it a Supreme Court judge or just a judge? His name was Judge Camp, and he was busted for saying some very inappropriate stuff to somebody who was put in his courtroom who was charging another with a rape or sexual assault.
Like we all say stupid things in our lives, but like you're on the throne. What is it when you're a judge? What are you sitting on back there?
Yeah, it's the throne.
A throne?
Yeah. It's the
And what did he say?
What is it, a bench?
What did he say on his throne?
He said maybe you should have pushed your bottom down into the sink to avoid penetration. And he said, well, why didn't you try to just keep your legs closed? The judge to this young lady who...
It was very judgy of him.
Well, can you imagine a young lady... Yeah, that was a young lady, Rich, in a courtroom, and she's looking for support from the legal system. Yeah. And the judge basically hammers her for not doing what he thinks would have been the best course of action.
And a few commentators have suggested he should have kept his lips shut.
with those comments.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just keep your lips shut?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been pretty much lambasted in the legal community after that.
I can't.
But he didn't
imagine.
lose his job.
Where was this judge at in?
Calgary?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah,
And it
Calgary.
was pretty, like, I can only, I mean, I'm looking at his side as to, like, maybe he thought she was lying.
Right.
So he kind of makes a few comments.
Sure.
There's no excuse for those comments
But
on
not
his
at all.
throne. What an idiot.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But no, you can take his side. What else? If you
Well,
were,
I'm just trying to look at it both ways. Like, maybe
If you
he
want to
basically
take
was
his
like,
side,
if
though,
you,
gotta
yeah, you
go
can,
sit
but
over
you're a
there.
douchebag if you do. But go ahead,
Yeah.
just for sake of.
we're going into talking about rapes or whatever. Like,
It's okay
you
to
can talk
support your
about, we can
father.
talk about Edwin Encarnacion right now, right?
Who's that?
He's a Blue Jays player who was down in the
Sports.
Dominican,
Eh.
and he's being
No
but,
Blue Jays.
but sports and those people are, it's good for the rape conversation because lots of them get charged, or everyone wants to take their money, right?
Yeah.
So this lady's trying to sue him for $11 million, saying that he gave her an STD.
Really?
And it's just like, did he give you an STD? Like, he probably was down at the Dominican for a week with
Yeah.
his family or whatever. They probably slept together, you know.
Yeah.
And does she sleep with other people? Is he the only one she's ever slept with? Probably not. If she's just doing a one
Right.
night stand, and now she's got an STD, and she's gonna blame it on him and try to get $11 million out of him. Now
So-
what he's probably gonna do is give her $500,000 and say, "Shut your mouth,"
Yeah.
and she'll just take
to
it.
end it, right?
And $500,000 is a lot of money.
But yeah,
Okay,
and,
what's
but
this?
it,
He referred to the victim as an accused more than once.
as an accused.
As the accused.
Is the
Yeah,
accused.
he's
So
an absolute
okay,
tool,
so
this
we got
guy.
some producer information that this say that, Rich?
Tool.
A tool.
Tool.
Yeah. So what does that mean? He referred to the victim as the accused. Somebody else explain it.
Well, I think it's the subconscious. He's assuming that this victim isn't telling the truth, and I really think it's part of trivializing sexual assault.
Mhm.
And I think it's pretty much systemic.
Right.
This is a really glaring recent example, but if you look back over court cases over the last 50 years, you're going to find cases like this pretty commonly. But social media has really pushed this, and I think a lot more people are aware of it. But it's not going away.
So what happens to this guy in the end? Like you said, he didn't lose his job, but does anybody have any idea? Let's say I'm walking into the court, and for whatever reason, he's on his throne, and he's gonna be overseeing the events of the day.
Yeah.
Am I not gonna want to get out of there as fast as possible if I know his history and?
Well, how does the public he serves have faith in what he does anymore after being so uneducated
Yeah.
about sexual violence against young
So I
women,
think
against women at all, right? To even state that, like when I picture it, like, and I didn't get the disclosure of how the rape went. So one of the things we do on the Crew Live sometimes is how did that go down, and we kind of try to piece together what might have happened. And so maybe this young girl was in a compromising situation. She was abandoned from her friends who perhaps got drunk, and I wished I knew the whole story. I may be making it all up. Some of it may be accurate. That's what we do on the Crew Live. And so when she was abandoned by her friends, some predatorial young man, and some of them aren't, got her in a private place, obviously where there's a sink. So I'm suggesting a bathroom. I'm guessing he had her up on the counter, and she was sitting in the sink, and he ended up penetrating her while she was trying to say no. Speaking of that, we need the definition of sexual assault for campuses right away to keep going. Somebody has to read that because I'm still blind. What has our producers got there? Can you guys help out with that? So,
We are
Yeah, when
hearing
you-
at least that he is under review, and that he's not doing any cases right now. So
Yeah,
at least there was some sort of.
Our producers
penalty.
are, I guess, suggesting how many cases have been decided under his
for sexual assault,
Yeah.
well,
for
Should they all be
anything,
brought
and
back?
now they're all going to be brought into question.
Well, it calls,
Oh, yeah,
it calls
no
into
kidding.
question credibility on a whole host of issues. So anything that's up for appeal with this justice is under scrutiny. A lot of decisions this judge has made, I think it calls into question the whole idea of justice. So where does it go from here?
Can I just say I feel dumber listening to you? Is that's a compliment?
I feel dumber.
feel-
I feel dumber.
feel dumber.
Wait until
having-
we talk about taxation, then I need a flashlight and a guide dog.
We'll level out the idiot playing field a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you some stats here. That says what? He's a
Colonist.
He is
He's a colonist?
prick. You know,
He's from. We don't want to disparage anybody from South Africa in our show, producers.
Yeah.
So now we're painting.
We can try though.
Yeah, is that what it says? What does it say? Read it. I can't. Unless you can't read that.
you know what?
He is a
Can we
colonist
just
from
backtrack just, or
Okay.
I guess not backtrack.
So-
Does anybody know what actually happened at the end of this case? Was the guy convicted? Is it like thrown out?
No,
Is
he
it,
wasn't
we're gonna
convicted.
retry?
And the point about him having colonial attitudes towards women and towards our judicial system and the white man being able to run basically whatever he wants plays into the fact that this young lady didn't get the justice she rightfully deserved. And she was a First Nations young lady, which we've heard other disparaging things against First Nations individuals who end up in abuse situations. Often they become the accused. So your question, Rich, the kid didn't get convicted? No. Nothing. I tell you what. Let me go through some of
The only thing is the point I was kind of trying to make before is none of us know the real situation. None of us were there when the rape happened. None of us were at the court to hear everyone's testimony, and we're just kind of saying now this guy's terrible. I mean, and he probably is. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
There's a very good chance.
Sure.
But we've also heard lots of stories. We all know situations where people got in trouble, and what was first came out in the news is not the truth.
Okay, excellent point, George. So let's expand it to the greater issue of sexual abuse in colleges, because whether or not this guy needs to be thrown off the throne or the bench, whatever you guys want to call it, is a little value here. Less than 8% of.
But we are hearing that a rape kit was proven. So
Okay, so because there was a rape kit proven, she was obviously sexually assaulted, or she was raped.
Sounds that
Yeah.
way.
Okay, so you can't decide that case. We do just recognize there's been some injustice. But listen to some of these stats. Less than 8% of men in college commit more than 90% of sexual assaults. This is from David Liskey, PhD, and Paul Miller. Repeat offenders commit an average of 6 or more acts of sexual assault. This is a horrible one to me. 26% of rapes reported, only 26% led to arrests of rapes that were reported.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on there?
Well, how many have you gotten away with?
I've gotten away with, I was going to say I've gotten away with none. I haven't done any.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think
Yeah.
what we were talking about earlier speaks to that. If a judge in good standing is trivializing through language, no matter if the accused ends up being guilty or innocent, inappropriate language sends a chilling effect on people. So if you're a woman and you're sexually assaulted, and you know that kind of thing happens in a court, how are the cops going to treat you when you walk in? How are you going to get treated at the hospital? So if that's the end game, you get to court and a judge says, why can't you keep your knees together? How are you going to be treated all the way along?
So he models the treatment of that type of that individual who
It's
experiences
part of a
that.
larger system.
Yeah.
If I'm sexually assaulted, do I want to get the system that actually then says that to me? That's a huge problem.
Maybe
So
it's
with
part of
the
the system,
debate-
but maybe it's just one bad judge.
But we
Or
do
is it all the judges? Do you think it's all like that?
Oh, I don't think it's all the judges,
no,
but
it
it's
certainly
but
can't be all.
but it's
Not.
certainly
all of them.
There, it's been decided.
Of course, not.
Every single
I want
one.
to believe it's all of them half the time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, every single one.
Yeah,
Yeah, good point.
that's a good point, and
It is a good
makes
point,
me think
but
right
I'm just
away.
thinking maybe it is the whole system. You might be right, but I hope it's just this one bad judge.
I think
Like
there's
I haven't followed up on this whole situation, so I'm just trying to say that
Well, doesn't it
the other
test-
side of the story too. But like when the reviewers tell us that the rape kit was proven, and like if we're gonna look at it as if it was definitely a rape, then obviously this guy's a terrible judge.
and it doesn't even have to be all judges or even a majority of them. It's just have to have enough things that go provingly wrong. You have rape kits that are there. You have evidence. You have eyewitnesses, and such a chilling effect on people who want to come forward. What they have to go through in a court situation. What they have to go through for questioning from the police. People have pretty long memories when it comes to inequality in the law. So one judge, 5 judges out of 500, it really doesn't matter. It just creates a atmosphere where if you feel you're going to be re-victimized by the process, you might not want to go forward.
Well, Frank, the point is excellent because in The Hunting Ground, it's called. It's a documentary on Netflix. There's several nice feminist documentaries that address this very issue. And this one talks about young ladies who go through the experience and they are treated worse after they're raped by this system, which is all the judges, Jordan, just for your point. And they're treated worse afterwards, and they feel like they're re-victimized over and over and over again by the system. Go ahead.
Oh, you were gonna switch?
No, I'm not switching, but
I got a call from the Dean of Admissions asking if you were to get into Harvard, would you accept? And I said yes, because I knew my mom would kill me if I said anything else.
The first few weeks, I made some of my best friends, but 2 of us were sexually assaulted before classes had even started.
I went to the Dean of Students' office, and she said, I just want to make sure that you don't talk to anyone about this.
They protect perpetrators because they have a financial incentive to do so. They told me despite the fact that I had a written admission of guilt, that what I presented to them could only prove that he loved me.
Universities are protecting a brand.
Campus police cannot contact an athlete.
He won the Heisman Trophy with his DNA rape kit.
Just sit down with the students and ask them, where are the hot spots?
SAE, sexual assault expected.
The second most common type of insurance claim against the fraternity industry is for rape. Her rapist's name matched the name of 2 other cases, and he was allowed back on campus.
The message is clear, you're not gonna win.
We started seeing, what was happening at campuses across the country.
Hi.
Has no one connected the dots before?
These students went from sexual assault victims to survivors and now activists.
We've got a lot further to go.
I'm not switching, but I want us to talk about the rape culture a bit and how we can begin to change the fact that people rape. But I just want to give you some of the punishments that are handed down by a lot of American colleges. First of all, here's kind of a vigilante style. In Brown University, the names of the men are written, the men/rapists are written on the walls of the bathroom by young girls and ladies after they experience it. So they're kind of getting the names out there. So
that could lead to a lot of trouble. So just anybody can walk in there and write a dude's name on the wall, and he's now an accused rapist.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, it could definitely. I don't know if I like that. Yeah. Is your name on any walls? No.
Sure, hope not.
I hope not. Because if somebody just hates you, they could scribe your name.
Yeah,
so Columbia University.
It seems like an effective, maybe. Well, if you're an actual rapist, that's a pretty minor punishment. But if you're not a rapist, that's a pretty tough punishment, eh?
Yeah.
Like you
and
said.
The punishments at the various universities. Columbia University has you suspended for a semester. Indiana.
If you're accused or if you're convicted.
If you're convicted, yeah. Indiana University has you suspended over summer vacation. Like, what does that mean?
You miss spring break.
Yeah, you miss summer.
So theoretically, you might not miss any courses at all.
Well, right. Yeah. Yale University has you suspended for a day. University of Boulder, Colorado gives a $75 fine to the accused. Toledo University gives a $25 fine. Brandeis.
Okay, so I think we're missing something here because these are not. If you're a convicted rapist, are you not in jail?
Okay, not all of them are in jail when they're given that confirmation that yes, they did this.
So depending on the sentence, you're saying.
Yeah.
According to the university policies.
$25 fine?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like. It sounds like maybe in the 1800s or something.
Well, it does, but we'll talk about that in a minute then, because University of Colorado assigns you a paper to reflect on your experience. And Occidental College. So, in fact, it looks like they're not going through the legal system, but they're just doing inter-college disciplinary action. Occidental College says you need to create a poster board listing 10 ways to approach a girl you like, or 50 hours of community service at the Rape Crisis Center.
I'm just really curious
Is
why
that from
it's
the
gotten
Onion?
so bad.
No, this is from the hunting ground.
Wow,
You know of any studies why it's gotten so predominant? This happening, or has it just not been reported as much? Have girls not come forward as much? did they not come forward as much 40 years ago as they do today?
Yeah.
Or has it just increased exponentially based on our culture?
Well, you know, there was a time when it was legitimately legal to rape your spouse. You didn't have to get consent. And where is that definition? Who's got the definition of, first of all, yeah, thanks.
Oh, I think I have one here too.
Oh, Richie's got one there?
Yeah, but you can go.
I'll go get that one from you.
That one, and then by the time you get back, I'll give you this one.
Oh, sorry, Gurney. Kicked you in the head. So here it says, despite the name, less than 40% of reported incidents occur on campus property. So if it's college rape or college campus sexual assault, they don't occur completely on campus property, but it doesn't mean they're not related to campus activities.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't until 1976 that it was finally illegal to rape your wife. So that just depicts the thinking of the male, the patriarchy that runs society, right?
Yeah.
So the U.S. Department of Education guidelines define rape as the penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the victim. Okay, so that's what it's defining rape as. It's defining sexual assault as any sexual act directed against another person without the consent of the victim, including instances where the victim is incapable of giving consent.
Like, I don't think we have time to research it right now, but I almost think those punishments you gave us, they have to be related to sexual assault and not rape.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
They seem so minor for...
Well, a boob touch or an ass grab or all of that, that's still sexual assault.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Those seem like punishments for a sexual assault. Somebody's, like, you should never violate a woman in any way, or a woman to man in any way, but it's like what you just said. How could those ever be punishment for actually, physically, by definition, raping somebody?
Yeah.
The definition of sexual assault over the years has broadened, and I think also the reporting of sexual assault has certainly gone up, especially in the last 40 or 50 years. It's still an underreported crime, or set of crimes, but it's much more reported now. That doesn't make it, like I said earlier, any easier on the people who report, but it is driving the numbers up. It's hard to tell if there are more rapes than there were in 1955 per capita, but the reporting of sexual assault, including rape, is certainly higher.
And
pick up that note from a producer.
What in Canada, rape is not the criminal. It's not in the criminal code. Rape
is not, and it's just sexual assault. So it's all under sexual assault. So Canadian law is even more protective of the rapist.
What should be the penalty? I'll ask all of you guys, because maybe we're just talking about sexual assault there, and it could be somewhat. I mean, I'm not going to call it minor, but like not as bad as rape. Right. What should be the penalty if a guy slaps a girl on the butt when they're partying, having some drinks in their room in campus, and she did not like that he slapped her on the butt, and she goes to the dean? What should the penalty be?
I think that kid should be sent home, and his dad should beat him.
Good idea.
No.
You're talking about grade 5? Yeah.
Repay violence with violence. No.
Well, but somebody's got to do something. So.
And they are. They're giving him $25 fines and making him walk around with sandwich boards on. Or is that what it was?
It was make a poster board with 10 ways you can approach a girl
I think
you like.
should wear the poster board instead.
Well, that's good. So
I slapped a girl on the butt last night, and she didn't want me to, and he has to wear that on his poster board all day.
Yeah, that'd be a good punishment.
Maybe.
But because it's sexual assault in Canada, obviously that was non-consensual sexual touching, we'll call it. The guy needs some punishment, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but who's going to decide what's fair for him?
You can.
Well, okay, I say
that's where it gets tough, and then what?
You junk punch him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good junk punch.
For that. Yeah. For that, because have you ever been slapped on the ass when you're out?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean. I thought that.
No.
Was...
Isn't that how we got in here?
I was expecting a hug.
I got an ass slap.
Well, I'm going to divert. I'm going to take it down a little bit because I think we're losing this topic. Talking about junk punch, cute little story, real quick.
Yeah, no, we got time. How much time we got left?
We might have to edit this out though, because I don't want to go to. I don't want to get in trouble
Maybe the woman gets to decide what the penalty should be. That's actually a good call.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the story that we'll talk about that.
I mean, and for a slap on the butt, it can't be you're going to jail for 25 years, but it could be something.
My 10-year-old son one time gave my 6-year-old son a Charlie horse.
Yeah.
Punched him really hard in the leg. A Charlie horse, right? Yeah. So I'm a different man now, but I wanted my 6-year-old to get a little bit of payback.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my 10-year-old and I said, okay, son, you give him a Charlie horse back. It's only fair. And I held him, and he punched him right in the junk as hard as he could. He didn't know what a Charlie horse was. So he just junk punch. Just made me think of it, junk punch. So.
Well, it worked, obviously.
There's probably something in the criminal code about what I did.
Definitely got his payback then.
Definitely. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute. What if women decided the punishment for every non-consensual sexual contact? Would you trust it?
There'd be a lot of men walking around without penises.
That's possibly the case.
I think it would be.
But okay, let's try to boil it down now to what is the root of this advance of sex. You got this one? Did you pull anything out of that?
No, I couldn't read it.
That's too small.
I'm probably legally blind, but you can read that if you want.
Sure. Yeah. So, what is rape culture, Shindy?
Rape culture is a set of beliefs that encourage and enable sexual aggression and violence against women. It is a culture where women and men expect and fear unwanted sexual advances. It is a society that examines the victims instead of the perpetrators, where people assign blame instead of taking a hard look at the way we live.
Judge Camp, right?
It's kind of like the judge we talked about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Judge Camp?
His name was Camp, yeah. Camp.
Judge Camp.
Camp.
How do you spell that, with a C or a K?
With a C, I believe, Judge Camp. Okay. Yeah. He's older, but he does sit on the throne.
That's, important aspects of rape culture. It says race and rape culture. Racial minorities are more likely to experience rape during their lifetime. Media and rape culture. The media is everywhere all the time, giving anyone the power to post sexist, homophobic, or racist comments.
So they're attributing all these to the increase in sexual assaults.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. If that's true, then
along with video games and rap videos, of course.
Yeah.
Because they get blamed for everything.
It's really hard to draw parallels easily through any kind of data that I've seen between, let's say, pornography, which we know is negative, but is there a direct line between it and the culture of sexual violence?
I think if it objectifies women in such a way, right? Then it's a disconnect when a person wants to act out in a violent or aggressive or rapey way towards.
I find this is a tough conversation to talk about when you're talking about racist and raping, okay? Because this comment right here says racial minorities are more likely to experience rape during their lifetime, okay? So maybe because of where they grew up or whatever, maybe women don't have as much rights in certain countries, right? We know that. So therefore, rape could be more possible in those countries because of that.
Yeah.
And now you say that, and that's almost a racist comment. Like, you almost can't say that because it's racist, but we basically just read the facts that it's true.
It's not suggesting necessarily that people from a particular background or ethnicity or culture rape more, that women from certain ethnic backgrounds could be more vulnerable.
Yeah. Vulnerability because they don't have the power that they need. And obviously rape is about power, as everybody seems to know.
Think about Aboriginal women in Canada, who you don't have to look very long, and even in this city, even Saskatoon, in Saskatchewan, look at the violence against First Nations women and girls.
Well, they just finally launched a commission to actually examine it in a thorough way. You gonna get a drink or gonna read that?
Can you get that note from our producer while you're up? I can't actually read it.
Yeah, I can't read it either. Bring it right over here. This is important stuff.
Well, I'm going to make a decision on behalf of the crew and the Crew Live, and I'm going to say that the internet has been spearheaded the huge increase in sexual assaults. The invention of the internet because of the easy access to pornography, and it just totally has,
So, first of all, folks, what we got here from our studio audience and producers, rape culture in the Canadian stats, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men have been sexually assaulted. So, to Rich's point, it seems to proliferate more because of the advent of the internet. I mean, people are exposed to these thoughts and ideas and more hate and kind of the image that we have power. And when you look at this young lady we talked about at the opening of this Crew Live session, that was getting these comments about she should be sexually assaulted. Like, good God, how can somebody think that's even possible? Like, when are we going to start to dismantle this? And how early in life do we got to teach young boys not to, like, just teach boys not to rape girls? Do we need a kid's book that says, Rapey McRaperson went out and now he has no friends? And somehow teach children
We have to cut that out because I think that's a great idea. We don't want the whole world to hear that and steal it. I think we should write that book. Do you want to write that book?
I do.
Sounds like a great idea.
It does.
I think we should
Can you do the artwork?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
But I think the speed and fury
Do we
of
call
the
it
internet...
Rapey McRaperson? Sorry.
No. Wow. That is a brain cleaner, Jim. No, But I was saying that the speed and the fury of the internet to actually push ideas, good, bad, indifferent, and horrifying, and the ability for people of all ages to attack without thought, really quickly and aggressively, and get into the homes and the bedrooms, into the imaginations of pretty much everybody, without any real protection.
Yeah.
So if you have children, you have a 8 or 9 year old daughter or son, you don't know exactly who might be.
See another coffee?
Yeah, I could use another coffee.
Who might be after them at any time of the day. So, 1950s or 60s or 70s or even 30 years ago, bullying was on the schoolyard. Now that can happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right in your kid's bedroom.
We could start a whole series.
Yeah.
Technology taught me how to bully. Technology taught me how to rape.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's on the internet. It's in it. It's everywhere.
Well, and really, I think many.
What else?
Children. What else?
What's going to be the third one in the series? Series always have to be in 3.
Technology taught me how to fix my car. That's not what you're after. No. I did go on YouTube to look at a video. Okay, so if you had, and I guess I'm set apart from those gentlemen who have daughters in college. I have 2 boys. I don't know what I would do if I found out in this hunting ground video, one young lady, that one of the hardest things she had was to tell her parents that she was raped by a co-ed in college. And fraternities are awful, but yeah, what would I do? What would you do if you had a daughter that ended up being sexually assaulted? Let's call it rape in college.
Well, first of all, you feel incredibly helpless. And so you have a couple of choices. Do you become a vigilante?
Yes.
Against who? Someone that you think is guilty? How do you counsel your daughter or son who's been sexually assaulted to go to the hospital, to get checked out, to report it to the police, to end up in front of a judge?
Yeah.
If you know the system, the way it works, and the way it's stacked against people who report sexual crimes, how do you decide that that's the way to go? Human sort of the impulse to go after the people that hurt you is going to be pretty darn strong.
Yeah, I would be.
Especially if the criminal justice system seems unfair.
Well, do you remember in Texas a few years ago, and we mentioned on a previous Crew Live episode, if you want to go to see some of the previous episodes, thecrewlive.co or facebook.com/thecrewlive. But one of the episodes we talked about a father in Texas who came upon the farmhand raping his daughter, and he killed the farmhand.
Yeah.
And guess what he got convicted of? Nothing. Sorry, I'm going to throw the answer. It was perfectly legal to kill somebody who's engaged in a rape in Texas. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Well, you don't know if it's going to end up in a murder, so it's a self-defense thing. Getting in there, defending. I could see him getting away with that.
Right.
That's the problem, though, when we have systemic inequalities, is people feel at times that they're pushed to take matters into their own hands. I don't really think that's the kind of society we want, where we see a crime and we take out our shotgun and blow the perpetrator's head off, or who we think it is, that's a natural, like I was saying earlier, that's a natural human reaction to defend the people we love.
Yeah.
But if we're pushed into that corner where that is where we see justice in being a vigilante, then we have a lot of things to fix. But a lot of people, too many people feel victimized not only the first time around, but by the way the system treats you. And those issues are long-standing and pretty damn complex.
Well, it is
Well,
complex.
if I ever walk in on you raping one of my kids or relatives, you better hope I don't have a shotgun, because it's over.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you have a right to say that, and many people would support that. You can't do this to my kids or family without some. We asked the question when you stepped out to get coffees. What would you do if your daughter was the victim of a college rape?
Right, I did hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Are you a shooter now?
Well, yeah. But that's like Rich said. It's if you walked in while it was happening, then for sure, I think pretty much everyone is at that point. To sit back and think about it and still do it would be like, you know. Then you'd have to really make sure you, I don't know, knew the person was definitely the right person. Like if there was any doubt in your mind, you probably shouldn't just go kill someone.
That's an excellent point. So we're going to wrap up with this last thought I want from you guys: is how do we reduce rape culture?
And I think that's probably part of the reason. Is like so often the girl is drinking too. You know what I mean? Like. She's drunk, he's drunk, what happened exactly? Like that's sometimes where it gets a little hazy. And everyone's like, oh, well, rape is rape. Well, it's like, and is it always like, you know, if it is, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Where you can't always be accusing the person if it wasn't, but.
So off the top of my head,
it's tough to know.
Yeah.
If you walk in and your daughter's screaming, stop, and there's the guy raping her, then you knew for sure, and he should,
Okay, just in case.
How do we decrease it?
Let's just back up for a second. Just in case we said nothing interesting in our own comments, I just want to give you a few bits of information, and then I want to make sure you guys chime in on how we decrease it. Sexual assaults in universities were more likely to occur in September, October, November, on Friday and Saturday nights, and between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. So do we tell people don't go out Friday, Saturday night, September, October, November? Maybe. Most victims of physically forced or incapacitated sexual assault were assaulted by someone they knew. Anybody surprised about that? No. Freshmen and sophomores are at greater risk for victimization than juniors and seniors as well. We had someone in our life, we tried to say, hey, just when you go out drinking, just never go away from your friends. Never, and this is one of the best pieces of advice colleges are giving to young ladies when they come to university now, is always stay with your squad. Never leave them. Don't go alone with the guy, no matter how much you trust him.
Buddy system.
Yeah, buddy. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing guys under the bus, but guys are assholes a lot, and none of the guys on this couch have ever been assholes.
Exactly. It's a lot tougher for girls to rape guys too.
Well, right, it is.
And apparently it does happen, I guess. Like the lady said, one in
3 females and 1 in 5 males.
Yeah, that's
it's huge.
Big number.
Huge.
I don't know any of my friends that have been raped personally. I can't think of one.
That would be an interesting survey to go through.
I've got a lot more than 5 friends.
But you've been slapped on the ass.
I have. Okay, if you're going to start counting that, then yes, I've been raped many times.
Here's some stuff about the alcohol use. Women from colleges with medium and high binge drinking rates had more than 1.5 times increased chance of being raped while intoxicated than those from schools with low binge drinking rates. And the last point, before we answer the question about how to change rape culture, women who have practiced binge drinking in high school had an increased likelihood of rape while intoxicated. And I don't think as men, white privileged males, we can understand the intense feelings that stay with an individual forever when they've been raped.
That's true.
I wished I understood it more. Maybe I'd be more impassioned. But what would you do, Frank? Start with you. What could we do to change the rape culture? Let's just take a minute and a half or so.
Well, it's a multi-headed beast. Education's got to be a part of it. From when girls and boys are small, early childhood education, part of the way we think about each other, that we are each other's brothers and sisters keepers. I think sexual violence and violence in general it's got to be addressed early on. It's got to be part of how people are educated about the world, how they take care of each other and their communities. I know that's really overly simplistic.
It's Pollyanna.
But it's also got to be a key component of education, of talking to people, of getting a really great dialogue at every age. It's just not college age kids. It's just not people in their teens. It's not people in their 30s and 40s. It's everybody getting involved, and as early as possible.
Sure. Okay. Rich, what are you throwing on this? How do we change rape
support?
culture?
Support for the victim after, I think, is lacking, and it's got to be it's got to be spread exponentially more support for the victim.
So would you say that support then indicates that this is in no way acceptable and we're not going to tolerate it? So because you're
and support knowing that once you come out and say I've been a victim of assault or rape, that you know you're not going to get thrown under the bus in any way after, that you're going to be supported. Okay. That's the support I'm talking about.
I like it. Yeah. Jordan, what do you think? How do we change rape culture?
It's a tough question, and I like your guys' answers. They're feel-good answers, but I feel like we didn't really get any actual. What are we supposed to do? Like support. Oh, okay, support. That sounds nice, but I don't feel like it really. Like Jim, you're more on harsher penalties, for example.
True.
Like you're, in another country, if you steal stuff from someone, you get your hands cut off.
You could lose a hand.
And here, nothing happens. You can keep on stealing. If you're not 18, if you're under the age of 19 or whatever, you can just steal and you can go and.
Yeah,
there's
you're right.
penalties.
Actually, you're absolutely right.
No penalties. You can't even get a criminal record. It doesn't even stop you from getting a good job.
Stealing is free.
Stealing is allowed here. If someone comes to my house and steals, and I beat them with a baseball bat, I get charged. If I chase them onto the front step or something like that, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty loose penalties. I'm not saying, I don't know, do we need harsher penalties? Maybe we do. And maybe if people who raped, they were really treated firmly,
right?
Maybe they wouldn't do it again.
Well, the numbers of repeat offenders.
Exactly, you said it's the repeat offenders, so they can keep on raping if no one's penalized.
And Jim, we're running out of time. Wrap it up.
Okay, so
what is your thoughts?
Our studio audience and producers talk about teaching about the power differentials and how males seem to have more power in many ways in society to begin with, and that is a reality for so many of us.
How come there's no women on this talk show?
Because it's the Crew Live. It's all males. Yeah. Because. So when I say seem to, some people would dispute that there's not really a power differential, but the evidence is observable. It's been clear patriarchally, is that the right word? Through ancient history, males have always had the power. So if we started to teach true equality through the new kids book, Rapey McRaperson, or whatever the vehicle is to teach.
We gotta cut that out.
Okay, sorry.
Someone's gonna steal it.
We need a working title
Someone
that works.
is going to steal that idea.
So the point is to really go back down this spiral and really teach people that you gotta have equality right from day one. And little girls aren't treated equally today in grade 2 and 3. They weren't in our generation. They weren't in your generation. And will it ever happen? I love the idea of harsher punishments, though. Okay, so to that point, Rich told me to wrap it up. We're running out of time. The Crew Live is for harsher punishments for certain things. We're not sure what they are, but thanks for being part of the Crew Live today. What we've done is gone a great big circle of certain topics, and cheers to you. If you need to get in touch with us, you know where to do it. You cheer it up, Rich. Grab a glass. Cheers to you, Frank. Cheers, Frank. Cheers. Thanks for being part of the Crew Live. Join us on the next session of the Crew Live, which should be airing shortly. Get in touch with us at facebook.com/thecrewlive or thecrewlive.co.